Home with God, Chapter 31. The individual moments of your life are what you used to create your experience of self. Now, isn't that fascinating? How close is Elizabeth's experience to what actually happened after death? What actually happens after death? It is what happened to her as she moved deeper and deeper into the passage between physical life and the spiritual realm. As I said very early in our conversation, the experience is different for everyone in many respects. And there are some things that occur in every case. The life review is one of them. But that life review sounds as if it could be painful. I mean, some of the moments of my own life might be unpleasant, either because of something that I experienced or because what I now notice that I caused someone else to experience. There is no pain or discomfort at all. Oh, that's right, I forgot. Remember that you dropped your sense of personal identity with your mind and with the thoughts you've held about yourself there in the second stage of death. In the third stage, you merged with the oneness. And in that moment of mergence, I stepped away from my last sense of personal identity with the individual aspect of being that I have called me. I stood aside from me, seeing me clearly, but not identifying at an emotional level with the being that I was seeing. Good. You understand. Now, as we return to our metaphor, you are in the third stage of death. You've passed through the moment of emergence, and as you now experience in fullness the core of your being, you see all that is in the art gallery, all the experiences of your life, and you look at them objectively, as if you were flipping through a picture book, or watching a movie, or studying a great work of art, which each experience is. You study each moment until you feel that you understand it. Then you move on to the next image, the next moment, the next painting. In this way, you move through and around the entire gallery. You make sure that you have seen the complete collection. Every moment is important to you because you realize as you examine the individual moments of your life that those moments are what you used to create your experience of self. And soon you are going to decide how you wish to recreate yourself anew. Okay, hold it one moment. I'm confused about one thing. I know this is all a metaphor and not really how it is. Describing how it is without using metaphor would make it virtually impossible for you to comprehend. I understand, but even knowing this is a metaphor, I have to pick it apart a little. There is one thing I am not clear about. I thought I regained my identity when I emerged from the essence, when my meeting with God was over. Otherwise, how would I know who I am? You do. Then how is it that I can go through this life review take a look at all these pictures of moments from my life just lived and not feel anything. I've done some pretty ugly things, I'm sorry to say, and a few nice things too. How is it, if I have regained the identity that I shed in the early stages of death, that I don't have any feelings of sadness or happiness or suffering over that? When your meeting with God is over, you regain your awareness of the limited identity that you held in your last lifetime. True, but you do not move back into that identity. Rather, you experience yourself as much larger than that, much more unlimited. Let me see if I can draw an analogy of my own, just to see if I really understand this. I've spent a lot of years in the theatre, working in both community and professional theatre in 6 states. So this is how I suddenly find myself thinking about what you're telling me. It would be as if I had stepped off stage after playing a role in which I had very limited abilities or skills, then took off my costume, changed into my street clothes, and stepped out of the theatre and into the world as a fully capable and powerful being. On the outside of the theatre, there's a marquee display with flashing travel lights and photos of me in many of the key scenes from the show. I see myself in these pictures, in which I am grimacing or smiling or crying or shouting with terrible anger. But of course, I have no internal or emotional reaction to any of this. I know it is not me, that I am standing there looking at these photos, but when I was inside on the stage, the suffering and the pain and the joy that I displayed not only felt very real to the audience, it even felt real to me. That's how good an actor I am. Still, looking at the photos now, I see how I might have played some of the scenes even better, or changed some scenes altogether. And so I determined to do that at the next performance. Then I'm on my way. First stop, the library. I want to know more about the character that I'm playing. Bravo, that's a very good analogy. That is very close to what you experience as you move through the core of your being, reviewing the art gallery of the moments from your life. And as you leave the core of your being, you do, in a sense, go to the library to find out more about your character. But please, tell me again, why do I bother? Why ever leave the core? Part of me keeps wondering, even after all this explanation. Why would I ever leave the essence? Why wouldn't I remain immersed forever? Wouldn't that be heaven? It is the nature of life to express itself. That is what life does. It cannot not do this, or it would not be. Now change the word life in the above sentence. Notice that life can also be called God, that which is the essence, the energy, or whatever else you wish to call it. No matter what word you use, you are still talking about life. In the process of self-expression, life quite literally expresses itself. That is, It pushes itself out from itself, giving birth to itself as an aspect of itself, that it might know itself in its own experience. That is a handful there. That is a lot to digest. Take it slowly. Take it easily. Consider it thought by thought, concept by concept. 1. In the process of self-expression, life quite literally expresses itself. 2. To express means to push out. Life pushes itself out from itself. 3. In a sense, it gives birth to itself as an aspect of itself. 4. It does this so that it might know itself in its own experience. That is what it really means to be born again. That is exactly what it means. And I am born again and move away from the core so that I, in your words now, may better come to know what I encountered at the core as real through the perspective of distance. Well, you've captured it perfectly. This is what the process of death and birth is all about. You are constantly moving to and from the core of your being, that you might know and experience the true nature of who you are. You use distance to know and to experience the totality as discrete or singular expressions of itself. For when the totality is the totality it experiences only, for when the totality is the totality, it experiences only the totality and none of its constituent parts. What if I can't be any better than I just was? What if I have experienced total mastery in the life I have just lived? Then what? Will the cycle end? No, you will simply redefine mastery. I'll raise the bar. Yes. So that the game can go on, so that the process can continue. Yes, it is the desire and the nature of life to produce more life, and to produce it more abundantly. Everything grows, and there is no such thing as the end of evolution. Remember that always. For that is the 15th remembrance. There is no such thing as the end of evolution. I have already described to you the cycle of everlasting life. Because you seek to recreate yourself anew, as does all of life, you will move into the spiritual realm in which you will come to know and understand more of who you are and who you choose to be. Then you will return to the core of your being and back out into the physical world, traveling the same corridor of time in a different way, or a different corridor altogether, so that you may know in your experience what it is like to be who you have chosen to be. But how will I come to know who I want to be? I don't understand about that. When do I choose that? You will choose that when you respond to the holy inquiry. Aha.